Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this presentation. It's one of my favorite features or resources on WikiTree is the source libraries that have been created. So I'm just going to turn this presentation over to Rick, and he's going to go ahead and share what this is all about.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rick Pierpont. I've been on WikiTree about 10 years now, and I love the website and everything that it has to offer. And I've been working on a source library for people to use in their genealogical research. And it has grown substantially over the years. We now have about, actually over 6,000 different books. Actually, it's probably a lot bigger than that because a lot of these books are multiple volumes. So what I've done is I've created a WikiTree source library that contains a directory of genealogical resources that are available for free on the internet. These are the various book repositories that are available across the internet. But what this is a library that allows you to find those resources. So the library is contained in this at this website. I just call it category source. I've bookmarked it in my web browser. I recommend that if you want to use this frequently, that you also bookmark it. This is the only way to get to the main resource page for this particular library. The library on this page that we're looking at is a directory of resources based on location. It's not exactly 100% based on location, but I think you can see here on the left-hand side, we've broken everything down into the various states. On the right-hand side, there are other categories: family genealogies, periodicals, the European continent. We can scroll down farther and see what else there are. More states, project resources, resources if you're studying the Middle Ages. Go down even farther. I have a group of sources called uncategorized. I just don't know where to put these sources. So that's where I put them temporarily. Hopefully they'll get moved someplace else. Another valuable resource is the bibliographies. If you use any of these genealogical resources in your research, Anderson's Great Migration Begins or Richardson's Ancestry Series, etc., they have published bibliographies of what sources they use, and they all use some kind of coding mechanism so that you can look up those books. I've translated those codes into actual links that you can then get on the internet, and so you can look at those resources. And I'll go through those in a few minutes. Here's another one, Genealogical and Historical Societies. They publish a lot of current up-to-date resource information. What I have here is the information that's no longer in copyright. If you want the latest and greatest, you still have to become a member of those societies. There are several people on the internet, on WikiTree, that are working on creating a list of reliable sources. These are secondary sources from reliable, known to be reliable authors. And then I have a to-do list. As I said, there are about there's over 6,000 resources currently in this directory structure that I'm showing you right now, but there are many hundreds that are on this to-do list. They may not be the most popular resources, but it's kind of a catch-all area. If you don't find what you're looking for, then maybe you can find it in there and find the links. So this is the directory structure. I'll go back up to the top here and maybe go into a little bit of detail of what I mean by a genealogical resource. Probably the simplest to explain are family genealogies. Authors have done published genealogies based on specific families, and they've been publishing these for, I don't know, probably 200 years. And I've collected those in this one page. Scroll down to see them, and I've alphabetized them. I don't know how many different families there are here, but there may well be over 1,000 families. I'll just go through here, and you can see it's all alphabetized by family name. I give the author, I give a link to the source, the publishing name and location and date. So there's some basic information that you can see from here. I've also starting putting in not entire books, but these are articles within genealogical magazines. This happens to be one on the Doing family from page 101 to 109 in this particular publication. Those are few and far between, but I think that's a valuable information for people that are working on that particular family name. And I can scroll farther down, and there's just more and more of these names. Of course, you can always do a search on any of these pages, and I can spell it right. There we go. It will then allow you to find the name that you're looking for and be able to cycle through them all and find the publication on your particular family that you're interested in. If I scroll back up to the top here, I can click on one of these names. Let's find the first one here, and I can show you what a book looks like in WikiTree. So if I just click on this one publication, it's another page of information about the book. Now, this particular page I'm looking at, I'm the profile manager, but the profile manager for these pages, I don't manage all 6,000 books out there. So different managers have different ideas on what the format looks like, but this is what the resource looks like on WikiTree. This basic information is going to be available, such as the author, when the author lived, publication information, the size. You can even get a link for who on WikiTree is using this particular publication in their research. Available online at these locations. We're trying to do free resources that are available online. They are available from a few different companies for free. Each company has done a scan of the book, and then, of course, it digitized it so you can then search within that book. And people like different sources, different companies. This is archive.org or Happy Trust. They all have their own user interface and with their own pros and cons. And so I think when you start using this, you'll begin to form your own opinion about which company is best. So I have two links here for this particular source. It's the exact same source, the exact same publication, the exact same information, but the way it looks to you, the user, is going to be different depending upon which of the links that you use. And I like to include a table of contents so you get an idea of what is being covered in this book. Here, obviously, it's going through many generations of the family, but then some of these things may pique your interest, like the Revolutionary War soldiers that are within this family. And of course, many of these have an appendix or an index that you can look through to find maybe different spellings of a given name. Over the years, different families have same family has spelled their name differently depending upon what time period. And so that sometimes makes it difficult to find a given person. But if you look through the index, you can then look alphabetically for the specific people you're looking for. I also like to try to include an errata section. These are few and far between. Many of these publications include an errata section within them, so I like to point to that within this particular page. I also have a WikiTree syntax. If you're into the WikiTree syntax, the language, if you will, this is kind of a scratch pad of various methods for putting this information within a WikiTree profile. You're going to see many different formats here. This is kind of a catch-all area, if you will, where people are free to put in what they want as a citation within their WikiTree profile, within the person that you're doing genealogical research on. As you can imagine, all these generations of these family include hundreds of people, hundreds of WikiTree profiles potentially, and so you're going to be copying this particular WikiTree syntax maybe hundreds of times throughout the your family tree on WikiTree. So it's a nice place to just do a simple copy and paste into from this page into the WikiTree profile that you're working on. So essentially, here's the name of the publication. You would come down here, maybe look at some basic information. You can click on the author. When there's a WikiTree profile, it'll take you to the WikiTree profile for that particular author. So you can learn about him, his life, and maybe what other publications he's had. And of course, you can click on the link to go to the source itself. So I'll just click on the link to archive.org. And here's
Rick, I'm
yes?
sorry. You unshared your screen.
Uh-oh.
No worries.
Is it?
Just go back down to the present.
Yep. Is it back?
There you go.
Don't know how that happened. Okay.
No worries. No problem.
I wonder if that happened when I clicked on the link.
Oh, it might be.
Let's try this again. I'm going to click on the archive.org link to go look at this publication. And I'll do that right now.
Oh, there we go.
Is it working now?
Yep, it's showing now.
Okay. So now here I can flip back to the beginning of the book. Oops. And so this allows me to page through the book. There's a search here. So I can go and search for my own name. And sure enough, my name pops up in this particular publication. It happens to be a location as opposed to my personal name, but I just wanted to show you that it's very easy to click on these links and start searching for a specific person. You can search on a specific date. I don't know if date means anything in this publication, but I type in the date 1687, and now we can quickly go to a particular date. I sometimes do that when I'm looking for Robert Smith. That's such a common name, and they may come up with hundreds of them, but if I know he was born in 1687, I'll do a search for 1687 and see what pops up. So it's very easy to navigate between the WikiTree resource page here that you're looking at, and then going back to the directory of families, and then back to the main directory page where we started, which is right here. So that's family genealogies. Family genealogies may not be the most reliable source you have, although most of the information in these sources are good information, but they are still considered a secondary source. Other secondary sources that you may want to be interested in, if you go to a particular state, you will have town histories. Here we go. This particular in Connecticut are broken up into these particular areas: Revolutionary War, Civil War, county, probate information. External links means a resource that we haven't documented on WikiTree. They are particularly not publications, but websites that may have family, or in this case, Connecticut genealogies. So we can click on any of these and we can see Fairfield County in Connecticut. And here's some basic county information. And then highlighted here are town names. We don't have every town within every county within every state, but a lot of the information is available here. And it's the same thing. I'll just randomly click on something and you'll probably see information in a different format. This is the manual of the Congregational Church in Bethel. And here's a link at, this one is at a family search. I think I have here a list of the different organizations. Yeah, free online book repositories. These are the main ones that I use: Google Books, Internet Archive, and Hathi Trust. But there are other repositories of these books as well. So you can click on any of these links and search for any book, books that are not genealogical in nature.
If I may add, Rick, one of the things that I always enjoyed about your system and this library, the source library, was if we go back just a little bit, talking about the different family genealogy books. To me, there was always an invaluable resource for one-name studies. I've put together, free space pages for books that are related to one-name studies that I'm managing. Modeled it after your pages here in the source library, and like I said, it's been invaluable. Where you have such giant books where you said you've got hundreds or even a couple of thousand people, to have that sort of in your back pocket as you're building out the different families and finding out where people are hooked in and so on. The source libraries are invaluable. By the same token, your source libraries here for locations is absolutely perfect for, one place studies. Same idea, going off into places like Connecticut or Rhode Island, the New England area, the Appalachian area. I have a one place study for the Shenandoah Valley. And again, the source library is invaluable for these types of studies, a one name study or a one place study.
Yeah, that's a good point in that I've made these lists of publications. So everything within this list, for here, this is Massachusetts, there are hundreds and hundreds of publications in here. But if you have a dozen, or anybody has a dozen of these, they can make their own list out of these particular items. So if this list is way too big for what you want to use for your one place study or a family study, you can use these items, and within WikiTree, you can make your own list. I just made this as a general purpose list, and as you can see, they become very, very large. But the items themselves within the list are not tied to this particular page that you're looking at. Users are free to make their own lists out of these particular items.
Well, and that's what's great. It is like a library. So, for the one name study that I have for, my namesake, the Weddington study, it's, okay, I just need, a handful of books that I pull out, and then I list as sources on the one name study page. That makes it very handy to reference. But it's nice because on every single one of these pages, you have, hey, this is how you use the citation, right? So I think Rick popped off here. I tell you what, let me share my screen, and I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Here is a book called The Weddington Family, compiled by, with a link to the person. Here is the link to the book itself, off in the Family Search Library, and the citation example. So this right here, I've copied off to the one name study page itself. I go and copy this citation onto each individual profile. The WikiTree profiles that use that source, as Rick said, is fantastic. You can go in here and find all the people that have it and what's missing and who else needs to be added to it.
I'm back.
Very good. So I was just kind of showing some examples of what I used in a one name study. Here's another book, The Big Sandy Valley, for the Kentucky area. Again, kind of showing very similar layout of what you had. Here's one that's literally hundreds, or if not a couple thousand people, history of the Cressups. Same idea, put it on the Cressup one name study, and so on. So it's it's just really nice, like I said, to be able to use this fantastic resource that you put together. There's how many books do you have now in the library?
There are 6,400 books in the library, 6,400 pages. They are mostly, as I've been showing you so far, are strictly one book per page. But some of these 6,000 plus are multi-volumes. And that's what I'd like to get into next, is these larger resources. Oh, before I get into that, there was the next subject I wanted to get on was vital records. Vital records are considered primary sources. So I can just click on vital here. And I don't know if you can see the right-hand side of the page is lit up where all that particular word pops up. So many vital records are published online for free. So here I'm in Massachusetts, and you can see the various towns have published vital records. And what I mean by vital records are birth, death, and marriage records, based on location and, of course, the date the events happen. So it's not particularly organized into families, but you can find people's birth date, death date, marriage dates going back to the colonial period. And so a lot of this information you use to verify family information that you've derived from other location. So there are many primary sources here that you should look for, as well as the secondary sources. Both are organized in the same structure.
One of the other things that I've always liked too is, say I'm working, some random place in WikiTree, which happens, and I go to a particular profile and I go take a look at the sources. A lot of times I will see a citation that references a book, but there's no links to it. That's happened plenty of times. And, I'll go take a look at the book and, maybe that looks a little familiar. I'll go to the source library, and sure enough, the book is there. And so now here's the opportunity to go in and put in a better citation, one that actually links to the book itself, and kind of updates the profile and kind of helps to clean it up, makes it a little bit more sort of standardized by using this library. That happens just a ton of times.
Yeah, we have a good example here. If we go to one of these bibliographies, let's go to the sources used in Douglas Anderson's Ancestry series. I click on that. What he has done is he has published these books, and he uses a code for the particular source. So here you can see the various names that he uses on the left-hand edge. Here, I've got a better example than that one here. Here, let's go down here. Here, everything's highlighted. So in this particular series of books, this is the Great Migration series. The author has developed these codes highlighted here, like Adams GEN. So if you're reading one of his books, you see this citation called Adams GEN. What does that mean? For the basic user of this publication, it's probably fairly meaningless. But you can go to this page now, and you now have a link that you can click on that'll take you exactly to that particular source, and you can find the links so you can see the book for free online. So a lot of these citations that you see in published genealogies, they're difficult to understand. They're may be difficult to translate, if you will, but by putting in these bibliographies, we can now make it easier to find exactly what that source is referring to, and hopefully find a free location on the internet that'll give you access to it, and you can delve deeper into that source. When you see published genealogies, they don't always give you the complete information from the sources they use, and it's quite beneficial to go back to the original source of the information, which could be a very old document, a very old publication, maybe some vital records, and you can get more information about that person or that family. We only have a few bibliographies here, but they do contain hundreds of sources, each one of these, and we can add more. If you want me to add something in for you, a new bibliography, my name and my link is right here on these pages. And of course, this is WikiTree. You can do the work yourself. You can add in the information. And all the pages I'm showing you here have this white little lock icon, meaning that you're free to edit any of this information that I'm showing you. If you see mistakes, you see enhancements, you're welcome to contact me, but I leave this open so that people can make their own updates, make their own corrections, find the errors, and get them fixed. Since I'm the manager of this particular page, I'll get notified when people make changes to it. But I do let anybody modify that. I don't want to claim these as my pages, although I am the manager of the page. So feel free to come in here and edit these pages. I wanted to move on to some other sources. One of the other nice sources are periodicals. These are societies, genealogical societies that publish information, and some of these have been publishing for 100 years or 200 years, a long time. And so you can go through here and click on any of these. Don't have a particular one in mind, but let's just, I don't know if I can find one that's any more interesting than any other. Let's see what the Essex Review is. We can come here and you can see there are multiple volumes. I tried to put the volume number with the publication date so that you get an idea of exactly what we're talking about. If you see a citation somewhere in some publication talking about the Essex Review, volume number 10, published in 1901, then you can scroll down here and you can click on the link for that particular item. And so this is one page. This is one page of the 6,400 pages that I was talking about for our library. But you can see this particular page has roughly 31 different volumes that you can read. So I say we have 6,400 items in the library, but the actual number is substantially larger than that. Let's see if I can find another one. There's the New England Historical Genealogical Register. This is another one that I like. This particular publication is still being published today. You can see there's at the top of these pages, there's a number indicating how many times this page has been viewed. So this particular publication is used quite a bit or viewed quite a bit. And here are all the publications down to the current year. Well, not quite to the current year. They don't release it to the web until sometime later. But I can scroll through here and you can see that volume after volume after volume of information is available. The more current, recent publications of this particular magazine is published on the American Ancestors website, and you do need to pay a fee to view the more recent. Here I've got volume 77, volume 78. Nope, that's search only. So volume 77 of this publication is the last one that's available for free online. But we do have links. If you are a member of this organization, we do have links to those publications for those that are members. This particular publication has a table of contents that has been published online. This is a PDF file showing showing a directory that somebody else has published, but we also have published here a table of contents. This is a WikiTree table of contents that goes through many of the publications. This is an ongoing work, but it's trying to piece together the genealogy that may be separated across several volumes. So here's a genealogical memoir of the family of Reverend Nathaniel Rogers. As you can see, it's contained all in volume 5, but it's broken up into the different monthly publications or quarterly publications. And so this gives you access to each one of those. So as you can see, this is a very large directory that we're looking at, and it is currently being updated. But this is just an extra feature for this particular more popular publication.
So, Rick, if I may ask, that is just one publication, and as a periodical, we do it, publish quite regularly. How much time do you spend updating these pages?
Well, this is an ongoing business, if you will, an ongoing activity, but I spend hours a week updating this information. Other people are working on the information as well, but even with the 6,000 pages that we have, there's still a lot more work to do. This particular publication, New England Historical and Genealogical Register, is widely used at least in this part of the world where I live in New England. So I go into more effort to make this available. Of course, I have a lot of brick walls, just like everybody else, that I'm trying to break down. So I'm hoping that by providing this information, people will add more information to WikiTree, and hopefully I'll be able to resolve some of my genealogical problems in my family tree.
Absolutely. Do you have a team of people working with you on this? Is there any kind of formalized project?
There's no formalized project as of yet. The 6,400 pages that have been indexed here, I've done about half of those, probably a little less than half of those over the last 10 years. And so that means there are other people that have done the other 3,000, 4,000 pages that you're looking at. So there is no formal project, if you will, putting this information into WikiTree. It just so happens that we have now 10 years worth of work put into this. There's now a very valuable resource that is available on this particular page. This resource is available and is mostly used by people on the WikiTree website, but this is available to everybody in the world. Everybody can access this information. Everybody can use this information. Everything on WikiTree is free, including this particular directory of books of genealogical resources. I've noticed that at least some of these pages I'm showing you are used hundreds of times, and when I go and look on WikiTree, they're not being used on WikiTree at all. So I know there are people out there doing genealogical resource that aren't specifically WikiTree members, if you will. So it is a more widely used resource. We have developed it all on WikiTree, of course, and that's probably where most of these people are coming from when they're using this. Some other things that are interesting. I realize that some people are going to be interested in this part of the country or that part of the world, but another part I'd like to show you is this one here called the Middle Ages. This is, of course, during the Middle Ages, but I've broken it down by dates. So these are different publications that were published either hundreds or thousands of years ago, 1,000 years ago, or at least it's a publication about events that occurred 1,000 years ago. And so it's broken down by date. So if you're interested in some particular time period, then you can see what is available for that particular time period. A lot of these are about documents that, like here, of course, the Doomsday Book, which is widely used. There's a page for the Doomsday Book, published in 1086. And you click on that, and here we go to information about that particular item. And if you want to go and look at the images from that book from 1,000 years ago, that is available for free online. There's scanned images, and also there are different studies based on this, since this is a very valuable work. A lot has been published on this particular book. So this is something that's a little bit different than most of the pages I've shown you, in that this is broken down by a particular time period. Of course, granted, a lot of people aren't going to be interested in this particular time period, but this is a great resource to have for people doing research in these particular time periods.
Well, and especially like the Euro-Aristo project.
Yeah.
They would use that quite effectively.
Yeah, we have a list of some of the projects here. I don't think this is all of the projects, but I have over the years added those into this particular page so that you can find that information. Another interesting source is personal diaries and journals. If you know of any diaries or journals that have been published, I would welcome that information, be able to add to this list, because this gives you a little more insight into that time period and the particular people creating these diaries. It's a very interesting type of genealogical resource to look into if you can find something that's available for your particular area of study. But I know there's a lot of published diaries and journals, not here, but you may want to take a look to see what's available. A lot of times I just go through this and peruse just to see if there's anything that interests me at the moment for what I am looking at. These personal diaries can be a great resource of original information that was written down in the colonial period, hundreds of years ago, so that you can make a real connection to the people that are writing down the information. And this can be historical information, events that were happening in the time period, but it also includes births, deaths, sicknesses. Some of the information are about people travels, where they're going in the world, in the country, what events happened while they're there. So it's a very interesting resource of information. I have a to-do list here that I think I can just quickly show you. The to-do list is just that. It's a list of genealogical resources that I have not investigated as to how valuable a resource it is. Would it be of any interest to anybody? But there are hundreds of items here that may or may not be of interest to you, but it's worth taking a look at to see maybe you'll find something that will interest you. As I said, this doesn't cover, of course, all the resources that are available, but we're actively building it up, adding new sources all the time. And if anybody out there sees this presentation and wants to contact me directly about adding something to this, I welcome those emails, and I can add it as quickly as possible. The amount of time it takes to create one of these pages, let's go back to the family genealogies and take a look at that first book that we looked at. This particular book may have taken 15 minutes of my time to create. I use a template, so all these basic files I have a template that I use, and I just fill in the appropriate information and then publish it on WikiTree. So it's not a lot of effort to create these pages in the first place.
So I have a question on that, Rick. Is that template actually available for WikiTree members to be able to kind of go copy and paste and kind of fill in as needed?
Yes. It's not a template in the sense of a WikiTree language or anything like that. But what I've been telling people contact me all the time and say they want to create their own page. But if you're a WikiTree member and you see this little white lock icon, you can just quickly hit the edit button and cut and paste this particular information into your own word processor, and that essentially is the template. I happen to use a word processor that happens to be my favorite, so I tell people just use whatever favorite word processor you have. So you can see here I have a category for all sources called sources by name. I link to other source pages. This one I'm linking back to the family genealogy. But you need to understand a little bit about WikiTree syntax to be able to do this. But I always tell people, if you want to create your own, go to this page and go to the edit tab and cut and paste what you see here.
Yeah, and I've actually got a clipboard program where I've saved basically what you said, the same thing as the format of what you have there, but ready for me to just fill in what I need to fill in.
Yep.
And it's just in my clipboard program just to paste right in there.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of work to get used to it for that first time, but as you do 2 or 3 of these, it really becomes very easy to create this page. One thing I noticed here that I didn't explain is what links here.
And I just want to mention too briefly before you go on about that, I have at the bottom of the screen there, it's a question that's come up before is how people can share, and you mentioned it too. There's actually that space page out there, how to share sources on WikiTree, that kind of explains more about that. So I'm just sharing that in the comments. So go ahead.
Okay.
What you're saying.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I wanted to explain this here. I don't know if this source is used at all on WikiTree, but we have this WikiTree profiles that use this source, and I'll click on it, and now you can see the WikiTree profiles that use this source. And I'm only seeing 50 at a time. I can click on this and see 100. So it looks like there's less than 100 WikiTree profiles, but I can now click on one of these profiles, and it'll go out to WikiTree. And here's a WikiTree profile for Ann Whittemore. And you can see there's the profile. There's the link that this particular person has used back to the WikiTree page. And you can see here, generally what people are doing, they're using this basic format of author, title, publication, and then a link to the actual page itself. This allows people, when they're viewing a profile, they can click on the link to view information about the source, or they can link right to page 33 within the document and see the information itself. So when you see these sources, you'll see both links within the citation for this particular book. So here's the page for the source, and there's this what links here link, so you can see. Generally, I don't go through here and click on all 100 links to see what's being done with it, but it gives me an idea of just how many people are using this particular source. And granted, there may not be anybody using this particular source, but if, like I said, if you just click on that, you can then see the profile, and you can see the name of the person that is using this particular source. Maybe that's somebody you want to contact about the source, or about problems with the source, or about using that particular source. It's a very collaborative environment that we can all work together and hopefully build a very big family tree of well-sourced WikiTree profiles. And
I just wanted to mention too, back on that main page, the category source page, down there towards the bottom, Kitty's library is also another great section of this library.
Yes, down here is, if I click on that link, here is a very long list of resources.
So it's another section basically of the library. That's what the way I look at it is, this is just where you're going to the library. These are the different sections of that library. So
it's just like going to a real library. You have to learn your way around. You have to learn what resources are available. And so I recommend that people write down this particular link, and then you can begin exploring the library and the information that's available here.
One thing I wanted to share is that there's also a section on WikiTreers that have books that they own, and they'll do lookups.
Yep. Here's a list of
WikiTrees. It's just a wonderful resource too.
Yeah, a lot of these books are in copyright, so you can't get them available on free online. But here we have the name of the book and a click to the profile of the person that owns the book that can do lookups for you, or verify or confirm information.
Yeah, I actually have one of the books that I created a page for. I actually have a supplemental page that I'm working with another person who actually owns the book, and it's for our name study, and it's a to-do list for him for lookups.
Great.
So he sees when I add somebody to it, he updates it, and we could talk back and forth about what the information is, and it's just a way to collaborate more with that. So, okay. And then one thing I wanted to mention too, just in the external links section of the templates category on WikiTree, I'm just going to share a link in the comments and on the screen briefly here. It's actually for the family search book. There's a template for family search book. So definitely check that out. If you're linking to a family search book, a page within that book, it's a pretty great little template there that you can use.
Excellent.
So I think that's it. If anybody has questions, like Rick said, pretty much any page on that category source library, you can just see his name and send him a message. Eric, did you have something to say, Eric?
Well, yeah, I wanted to kind of add a little bit, a couple of things that I've been doing that's a little bit separate from this source library, but talking about other types of sources. Number one, family Bibles. It's another great, source. It's kind of interesting. It's not quite as organized as Rick's source library. One of the things here, let me share my screen here. One of the things that I had to do was I had to go to Google here. I did a search here under site, wikitree.com, and in quotes, family Bible. And you can see that a lot of people have different kinds of family Bibles out there. Here's a really great page out here, Making Family Bibles Available Online, put together by Rob Jacobson. Kind of tells a little bit about how to do this, how to put together a page, how to treat a family Bible, pictures to get, picture processing, transcriptions. It's a great overall, kind of process on how to work with a family Bible. There's different examples online where, like here's one, Joel Brown Family Bible. You can see where they've attached photos, where it's got lists of family members, birth and death information usually, sometimes marriage. Kind of very similar to what you said, Rick, about the diaries. But it's kind of interesting. There's no standard format yet, I would say, on family Bible pages. Here's one that's a little bit more organized with a table of contents, talking about the title page, an inside cover, births, and so on. One of the things that I've tried to do is follow a little bit what you did on the source library. I've started a Weddington family Bible this is a family Bible that's I possess, and I'm starting to get transcriptions in there, a little bit of the history. I don't have photos yet, but down towards the bottom is using as a source, just like your source library here. So use the source citation on people profiles, where it references back to the free space page itself, information about the book and when it was published, currently in possession of, includes names, birth, and death dates of family members, from 1784. So, that's one area of, different types of sources. One of the things I did discover is there's a category for a family Bible. So that is under family heirlooms and books. So here is a list of some family Bibles that are out there and available on WikiTree. There's many.
I'm sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, we need to wrap up because I actually have another presentation right after.
Oh, I see. So, there's family Bibles, and there's even another one, a family reunion that I'm working on as well. That's another interesting source. So there you go.
Yeah, everybody feel free to reach out to any one of us to learn more about that, or if you have questions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all later.